ToddYoungONLINE presents Young Tales. Tales for the young and the young at heart. Today's story: Bulfinch's Mythology, King Arthur and His Knights, Episode 2, The Mythic Kings of Britain. Before Camelot's banners ever flew in the wind, before the round table gleamed beneath torchlight, there were other kings, shadowy, half-remembered, their names carried down through the mists of time. Tonight we speak of them, the ancient rulers of this island, whose stories shaped the land that would one day bear the name of Arthur. The first kings. In the age when the gods still walked among men, there came to this misty island a giant named Albion, son of Neptune. He ruled the isle and named it for himself. But when Hercules came west in his labors, Albion dared to oppose him and was struck down. Thus the island's first king was slain by the world's strongest man, and the island was left wild once more. Others say the island's people came from the sons of Japhet, the son of Noah, one named Brito, from whom the Britons sprang. Yet of all tales, the one most sung by the bards is the tale of Brutus the Trojan, grandson of Aeneas, whose flight from burning Troy carried the will of destiny westward once again. When Brutus was but 15, he went hunting with his father and loosed an arrow that flew true. Too true. His father fell by his hand, and Brutus was banished. He fled to Greece, where he found other exiles, descendants of Trojan heroes now enslaved by a Greek king, Pandrasus. Among them was a young warrior, Assaracus, whose mother was Trojan-born. "You are of Aeneas' line, are you not? Then lead us. We have served long enough beneath foreign whips." Brutus said firmly, "Then let us win our freedom as our fathers once did, not by pleading, but by arms." They rose against Pandrasus, defeated him, and took his daughter Imogen in marriage. With her came ships, gold, and men, and Brutus set sail with 300 vessels, seeking a new home for his people. For many days they sailed until they found a lonely island, empty and silent but for the cries of seabirds. There, in the ruins of an ancient temple, Brutus found a shrine to Diana, goddess of the moon and the hunt. He knelt before her altar, lit a sacred flame, and prayed for guidance. "Goddess of the silver bow, huntress of the night, what land shall I seek? Where shall my people rest and build anew?" "Far to the west, beyond Gaul's green shore, lies an island ringed by sea. Giants dwell there now, but it waits for you, son of Troy. Go forth, there you shall build another Troy, and kings shall rise from your line to rule the world." When he awoke, the embers of the altar still glowed, and his heart burned with purpose. They sailed west once more, past Italy, past Gaul, until at last they came to a wild, rocky coast. The air was cold, the hills were green and haunted, and Brutus knew the goddess had guided them true. The island, then called Albion, was home to a race of giants, cruel and monstrous. Brutus and his warriors fought them for days, until the last of the giants fled to the cliffs of the west. One among Brutus's captains, Corneus, pursued them to the very edge of the sea, and there battled their leader, Gogmagog, whose strength was that of 30 men. "Come then, monster, let Cornwall be freed of your kind." With a mighty heave, Corneus seized the giant and hurled him from the cliffs into the sea below. The waters boiled, and from that day the cliffs were named for him, Cornwall, land of Corneus. With the giants gone, Brutus built a new city on the river's bank and called it Troia Nova, New Troy. In time it became Trinavant, and later, London. For 24 years, Brutus ruled in peace, and when he died, his sons divided the isle. Locrine took the center, Camber the west, Albanac to the north. Thus were born the realms of England, Wales, and Scotland. Yet peace did not last. Locrine, Brutus's heir, was wed to Gwendolen, daughter of Corneus. but he fell in love with a fair captive named Estrildis, and by her had a daughter, Sabra. When Gwendolyn's father died, Locrine cast aside his wife and took Estrildis for his queen. But Gwendolyn raised an army in Cornwall and met her husband in battle upon the Severn. Locrine fell, and Gwendolyn's wrath was fierce. She cast Estrildis and her child into the river, saying, "Let the waters bear your names, and I will bear my grief." The river took them, and from Sabra's name the stream was called Sabrina, the Severn, and the maiden became its spirit, a goddess of the waters, her tears forever mingling with the flow. Generations passed, kings rose and fell, names half forgotten like smoke in the mists of time. Bladud, who built the hot springs of Bath, tried to fly on wings of wax and fell upon the temple of Apollo. Lear, who once loved his youngest daughter Cordelia the most, but cast her out for truth's sake, only to find madness and redemption at her feet. And from Lear's tale, Shakespeare himself would one day draw the story of King Lear, a tragedy born from myth. Others followed, Ferrex and Porrex, brothers who slew each other and inspired the first English tragedy, Gorboduc, Mulmidius, who made the first laws of sanctuary, giving peace even to the plow and the hearth, Brutus and Bilinius, who warred across Europe and set Rome aflame, and Elidur the Pious, who gave up his throne to his exiled brother and regained it only to rule with mercy. But as the centuries turned, the legions of Rome came to Britain's shores. King Lud built great walls around his city and gave it his name, Ludstown, which became London still. His brother's son, Cassibelanus, met the Roman conqueror Julius Caesar upon the banks of the Thames. "You may have conquered Gaul, Roman, but Britain bows to no man." They fought fiercely, and though Caesar's sword was famed, it stuck fast in the shield of Lud's brother, Nennius, who carried it away as a trophy. In the end, the Romans retreated, but they would return again and again. Years later, when Rome came once more, King Cymbeline stood upon the throne, a wise ruler raised among the Romans themselves. He kept peace with the empire, but his sons, Guiderius and Arviragus, defied it, and war returned to Britain's fields. These were the last kings before Arthur's dawn, the bridge between legend and history. And from their bloodlines, through centuries of conquest and faith, the prophecy of Diana would be fulfilled. That in this island, born of the sea and tempered by war, a new Troy would rise, and a king would come whose name would never die. So ends the tale of Britain before Arthur, the land of giants, Trojans, and kings of old. From Brutus to Cymbeline, the island grew from myth into memory, from dream into destiny. And next time, we turn to the boy who would draw a sword from the stone, and the world would know his name as Arthur Pendragon. And here's where we end for today. Young Tales is produced and narrated by Todd Young from ToddYoungONLINE. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and join us next time for another story. Thank you for your support.